A pleasant good evening and welcome to this weekend presentations of the program Freedom in News Basket. 45 minutes, all of the captivating news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one world. I'm Thomas Kojo presenting this September 2, 2022 presentations of the program Freedom Even News Basket. The top development will follow in this evening. House of Representatives summons National Elections Commission to provide clarity on the scheduled biometric voter registration process. 20 years old student of the William V. Stockman University in Maryland County, identified as Sudi Hinans, discovered dead at her home in Harper City. Police and LDA officer in Bon County arrest 2 Nigerian nationals with huge quantity of narcotic substances in Banga. And away from Liberia, Burkina Faso junta leader is set to have his first foreign trip to Ivory Coast. The details of these, including the bulletin of news, the actual voices, are all coming up after this short break. Many thanks for joining us on the program Freedom Even News Basket. At this point, we cross over to where Elisana Yenenken is seated to bring us the bulletin of news. A pleasant good evening, Elisana.
Good evening, Thomas, and good evening, listeners. The plenary of the House of Representatives has summoned the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, David Etebra Lassanan, to appear before that August ballot on September 8, Thursday, to address a lawmaker's concerns over the scheduled biometric voter registration process. The House's decision to cite Madam Lassanan on Thursday, September 2, during the 7th day special sitting of its 5th section was triggered by a communication from Mosrado County District 4 Representative Roston Nswakogo Dennis. Representative Dennis seeks the indulgence of her colleagues to allow the chairperson of NEC appear before the full plenary to explain more on the biometric registration process, adding in as much as biometric registration may be a good thing, the country electoral system is not yet prepared to absorb it. According to her, biometric system has never been tested at the community level or during any of the country's recent by-elections, and as such, it may not be prudent to use it to determine the outcome of the presidential representatives elections results. She further claimed that hacking is an undying cyber theft, which means that hackers can easily manipulate stolen biometric data to create fake positives. The Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency, in collaboration with the Liberia National Police in Banga County, have arrested 2 Nigerian nationals with huge quantities of narcotic substances in Banga. Disclosing on Friday, September 2, in a news conference at the office of the LDA in Banga, the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency Bon County Detachment Commander Thomas C. narrated that the arrest of Ken Okafor and Stanley Igbo was made following a search and seizure warrant from the Banga Magistrate Court in the county. Commander C. further revealed that during the search and seizure warrant on September 2, in the homes of those alleged drug traffickers, the team confiscated 13 tubes of hardcore heroin and a huge quantity of another narcotic substance. The LDA Bon County Detachment boss put the quantity of the substances at 691.8 grams and placed the street values at US 41,371.2%. Commander C is at the same time encouraging citizens of Bon County to help report the individuals who are in the habit of selling narcotic substances in the various communities to the LDA office in the county. A student of the College of Health Sciences at the William V. Stockman University in Harper, Maryland County, believed to be in her early 20s, identified as Sodi Hinan, has been discovered dead at her home. According to reports, the 20-year-old Hina was lastly seen in her community on Tuesday, August 12th, in an unhealthy condition. The report indicated that the deceased was spotted on the main campus of the William V. Stockman University, where she had gone to process her documents for the academic semester expected to resume this semester. According to our Maryland County correspondent, the 15-man jurors set up during the discovery of the body reported that Sodi may have died as a result of stomach pain because she was discovered lying flat on her stomach. Solihina brings to 3 the number of students that have died mysteriously in less than 2 months in Maryland County. The Liberia National Police Maryland Detachment has launched an investigation to establish a probable cause of Soli Nanahina's death. Former Maryland County Senator John Ballard, along with the former president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Tiawan Gaglo, Friday led a We the People march to the United States Embassy near Monrovia in appreciation to the U.S. Treasury Department for helping the government of Liberia fight corruption. It can be recalled on August 15, the United States government, through the Department of Treasury, placed targeted sanctions on 3 government officials for public corruption. Reading the petition at the U.S. Embassy near Monrovia, the movement's organizing chairman John Ballard said they are grateful to the government and people of the United States for assisting the Liberian government in the fight against public corruption, thus asking the U.S. government to do more. Ballard noted that Liberians continue to worsen with increasing breakdown of the rule of law, human rights abuses, and national disunity, all due to uncontrollable public corruption, thus acknowledging that the Executive Order 13818, which is based on the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act, is committed to holding public officials accountable for acts of corruption. The former Maryland County Senator Harry lauded the Liberian National Police for their level of professionalism and security provided during their march. Authorities at the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia have disclosed that much has been achieved under the current leadership of the Ministry and the Armed Forces of Liberia through budgetary allotment by the government of Liberia, though there are some challenges. Liberia's Minister of National Defense, Major General Daniel D. Ziaken, retired, and Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia, Major General Prissy Johnson III, said with an increase in the budget, they have been able to carry out renovation works at some of the military facilities around the country, purchased brand new vehicles to enhance the operations of the Ministry of National Defense and the AFL, building additional 25 housing units for soldiers and their dependents, and carrying on promotions within the AFL. Commenting on the much talked about compulsory saving program that was initiated by the AFL, Minister Ziaken and Chief of Staff Johnson said the reimbursement of soldiers who contributed to the funds is almost completed, with active duty soldiers being paid 100%. They said the AFL remains obligated to 212 ex-soldiers who were either dishonorably discharged from the force and are yet to pick up their checks from the armed forces of Liberia. At the same time, the authorities of the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia said the government has taken full control of the peacekeeping operations, adding that no more will 20% on personnel allowance be deducted to support peacekeeping operations, as the government is non-capturing peacekeeping in its annual budget fiscal 2022 from January 2022 onward. Adding on the international front, the Armed Forces of Liberia has a presence in Mali, Sudan, South Sudan, and Guinea-Bissau. They indicated that the government has deposited $700,000 United States dollars to support peacekeeping operations. The AFL has been participating in the Mali mission from 2013 to present. Its strength has also increased from a platoon size to a company size. Commenting on the upcoming 2023 general and presidential elections in Liberia, the Liberian Defense Authorities reassured the public that the military will remain non-political as a means of keeping public confidence. They said as heads of the Liberian military, they will not encourage the involvement of soldiers in politics or entertain political activities at any of its military barracks around the country. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Liberia is warning against the growing wave of militancy in the Liberian political arena and wants political leaders to take concrete steps to address the matter before it gets out of hand. Following the confirmation of Chief Justice designate of the Supreme Court of Liberia, an aspirant in the Mossorado County District 5 comes 2023 has expressed serious disappointment in the Liberian Senate. According to Ellis Conan, Senator Varney Sherman of Grand Cape Mon County, as a man with international sanction, is unfit to have been allowed to control the process leading to the confirmation of the Chief Justice position, which he says needed to have been headed by a man with good moral standings and not Senator Varney Sherman. Meanwhile, the Mossorado County District 5 representative aspirant wants the House of Senate remove the Grand Cape Mon County senator as chair of such integral committee and replace with another with good and clean character that will attract the analysts of America to work with that committee. He made that session during the news conference in Painesville on Thursday. Bone Mines Hospital Medical Director Dr. Shannon Suba says health workers' responsibilities have increased from just saving lives to protecting themselves from creeping insects due to power challenges at their facilities. Speaking during a roundtable discussion with Vice President Joa Hawatila recently in Bangabong County, Dr. Suba explained that the hospital is faced with huge challenges. She narrated that funds to run the hospital has not been forthcoming in recent times, something she said is impairing operations at the hospital. She said the Bone Mines Hospital, being ideally situated, caters to hundreds of patients on a daily basis. As such, all must be done to address the challenges facing the hospital. Balasuba also named utility vehicles, maternal waiting rooms, and staff housing, among others, as issues that need to be speedily addressed by the government.
Many thanks to Edison Yinikin for reading us the news bulletin. It's the regular featured here on the program Freedom Even News Basket. Edison returns later with the foreign development. In one of the top development we're following this evening, the House of Representatives summoned National Elections Commission to provide clarity on the scheduled biometric voter registration process. The details of these are all coming up after a very short break. Many thanks for rejoining us on the program Freedom Even News Basket. Vice President Joa Hawatila has disclosed that the United States imposed sanctions against three top government officials will not in any way affect the re-election of President George Weah in 2023. Phoebe Taylor, speaking recently with reporters in Bangabong County, said as long as President Weah names not mentioned, it does not incarcerate or implicate bad happenings within the country. She noted that they will continue to rally the support of the Liberian people for the re-election of the Liberian leader based on the level of development undertaken the CDC-led government.
The U.S. was clear that it was not sanctioning our government. If you read all the notices that have come from the U.S., they were not sanctioning George Weah's government. They were sanctioning some officials that they have information on. I'm not privy to that information, so I'm not going to talk about it. Thank God I'm now on a sanction. Thank God President Weah is now on a sanction. As leaders of our country, we'll go across the country and convince our people of what has been done and how, if we get a chance, we can do more. I who come from Bon County, I got more difficult assignment because there are appellate people across the spectrum of all of the 15 counties. So you will see me not just here in Bon, you will hear me visiting other places to convince people, but my convincing has to start. It's a charity, begins at home and spreads abroad. So I hope those of you who are the press, if you want information as to what our government has done, please come and ask the superintendent. There's a lot happening. So that as we discuss the issues of pros and cons, where are we? Where did our government meet Madam Salif government when she took over? Today, the Lofa Road is being done. And our project, we did road groundbreaking yet in Madam Salif tenure. So we came here on her cable. That road should have been done. When we took over, we realized that there was no funding for it. We had to go and find money. I'm happy that in this 5th year, that road is now being done. So you can see it with your own eyes. It comes a whole corridor for many things, including the people who live on the road with the money to pay the people on a route that houses were broken here in Lofa parking. That money is now available. They are paying the people a little bit at a time so that when we finish broken, say they broke our houses. So I think our government has tried its best. My call to the people of Bon County is that I am your daughter. I am involved in this process. I think we have done a lot of work in Bon County. There are opportunities to do more, but the more can be done when we get our seat the second time. So we hope all of the Bon County citizens here in Bon and across the country will join us to give President Weah a second time. Bon County will also be giving itself a second term.
She's Liberia Vice President Joa Howard Taylor there disclosing that despite the sanction on 3 top officials of government, it would not in any way affect the re-election of President George Weah comes 2023. The Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency and the Liberian National Police in Bon County have arrested 2 Nigerian nationals with huge quantity of narcotic substances in Banga, Bon County. Disclosing the news on Friday, the 2nd of September, in a press conference at the office of the LDA in Banga, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency Banga Detachment Commander Thomas Say narrated that the arrest of King Okafor and Stanley Ebo was made following a search and seize warrant from the Banga Magisterial Court in the county.
We have received information concerning suspect Ken Okafor and Stanley Ebo that they are in the constant habit of selling hard substances, drugs that are cocaine and heroin in Bon County and part of Liberia. So we've been taking this information, and on the 1st of September, at about 6 p.m., we're going to deal the both of them by what means. We send a lady, I gave a lady 45,000 Liberian dollars to buy from Stanley. You can see the photo of that suspect up there. In the past, she was arrested by one of my predecessors at the time. So one time we picked her up and found out that she was not into the business, so I began to, talk to her, bring her closer. I wanted to know some of these guys, so she began to help with the information. And yesterday, we were taking a search and seizure warrant from the Bahama Syria Court. When it says sending home with suspect Ken Okafor, they dropped the chain here were confiscated or seized from suspect Ken Okafor house. And this morning they have coke you see here. It was from the shop. And yesterday, this verified tools are standing as with his customer to buy, which he received the money, was discovered in his shop where he fully public that he's selling phone. When you check in there, a lot of low phone, you see there's empty park. And the other men under the pretense that he sells motorball spare parts. So they are notorious drug distributors within Bon in some part of Liberia. According to information, Stanley supply tobacco, Lofa in some part of Bon County. And this Ken Okafor also supply Nima, Grand Crew as well. They are notorious in big hand in the drugs business in Liberia. And as God will have it, from the network of the joint security, more especially the police, headed by the commander with Police Fasu, we break out this network and we're able to, track them down.
At the same time, the Bon County Detachment Head of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency put the quality of the substance at about 691.8 grain and placed the street value at US $41,371. At the same time, it's encouraging citizens of the country to help to report individuals who are in the habit of selling narcotic substances in the various communities within Bong County.
Total brand of the drugs confiscated from suspect Ken Okofor is put at 691.8 grams of hard coke and the accessory, excluding this heroin. And the value, street value, is put at $37,357.02 USD. And the heroin is about 89.2 grams, and the street value is $4,014. The total drug confiscated from suspect Ken Okofor is put at $41,371.02 USD. And suspect Stanley Igbo, the total drugs confiscated from him or seized is 59.7 grams, with street value put at $2,686.06.
Former Maryland County Senator John Balud, along with the former president of the Liberia National Bar Association and 2023 presidential hopeful Terence Gonglod, on Friday led a We the People march to the United States Embassy in appreciation to the U.S. Treasury Department for helping the government of Liberia fight corruption. Reading the petition of the U.S. Embassy near Monrovia, the movement organizing chairperson John Balud said they are grateful to the government and people of America for assisting the Liberian government in the fight against public corruption, thus asking the U.S. government to do more.
We, the people of Liberia, desirous of ensuring a better future for the next generation, have converged on this day, September 2, 2022, before the Embassy of the United States of America. Thank the government, people of the United States, for assisting our government in the fight against public corruption, and we ask them to please do more. We, the people, have observed over succeeding decades, governments and generations, that the socio-economic condition of Liberians continue to worsen, with increased breakdown of rule of law, human rights abuse, national disunity, all due to uncontrolled public corruption. We have lost over 200,000 lives in a series of civil wars because of corruption, bad governance, and dictatorship. This has left the mass majority of Liberians poor, helpless, hopeless, and vulnerable in a potentially rich country. On August 15, 2020, the United States government, through the Department of Treasury, placed targeted sanctions on 3 Liberian government officials for public corruption. We, the people, acknowledge that Executive Order 13818, which is based on the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act and that is committed to public officials accountable, is a big boost to the fight against corruption and abuse of public trust in Liberia. We, the people, are aware that these targeted sanctions will serve as a deterrent for future would-be corrupt officials. We, the people, remain cognizant of the direct relationship between the quality of life and the fight against corruption. Therefore, choose to take advantage of this significant boost provided our country in this regard. We, the people, must act that while we encourage the government and people of the United States to increase its targeted sanction on corrupt public officials, we equally encourage you to please increase your financial assistance to the Republic of Liberia because the need is imperative. Imperative because of the dire economic situation of the vast majority of our citizens who find it increasingly difficult to afford a single meal per day. Indeed, corruption has had a field day in Liberia.
John Balud is a former senator of Maryland County. They're speaking to scores of journalists on Friday when he and the former president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Terence Gonglod, led a We the People march to the United States Embassy near Monrovia to appreciate the U.S. Treasury Department for helping to fight corruption in Liberia. Speaking to a team of reporters, he said the U.S. government should continue to impose more sanctions on Liberia in the fight against corruption. Following the confirmation of Chief Justice Designate of the Supreme Court of Liberia, an aspirant in Montserrat County District No. 5 for the 2023 election has expressed serious disappointment in the Liberian Senate. According to Conan, Senator Vanin Sherman of Grand Kidman County, as a man with international sanction is unfit to have been allowed to control the process leading to the confirmation of the Chief Justice position, which he says needed to have been headed by a man with good moral standing and not Vanin Sherman.
one word I express my disappointment in the quote-unquote House of Elders. The senators of this nation, I assume to be elders who we depend on to make decisions that will benefit the masses. But their action at times it disappoint us as citizens. But my attention has been drawn to the person who presided over the confirmation of our Chief Justice, Madam Shaden Ayo, in person of Senator Vani Sherman. The Chief Justice position of this nation, we know the Supreme Court is the higher decision making of our nation. So if anybody is to be placed in that position, you should be vetted by people with integrity, not people who are integratively been robbed. One of whom presided over that confirmation was Vani Sherman. Vani Sherman being a sanctioned individual who is been sanctioned by our traditional ally, America, presiding over the judiciary, being the one to be the chairman of that committee. I expected most of our senators from the other countries to raise that red flag, but unfortunately, none of them were able to raise that red flag. It is often said that he in preach equity must certainly come with clean hands. So with the senator from Grand Cape County being the chairman who has sanctioned, you are not integrity clean. You confirming somebody who preside over integrity institution. I see a dark cloud over the 2023 election. The 2023 election is a crucial election that all of us need to take note of that election. And anybody who will have problem one way or the other will be running to the Supreme Court. So with that, the Senate needed to raise that red flag so that at least Vani Sherman can step down so they can have somebody with integrity to preside over the Judiciary Committee. And going to the fact that our national election is being sponsored by donors, by our traditional ally, America is one of our major sponsors when it comes to election in this country. So with that, somebody who have that tainted record presiding over the confirmation, I think the international communities are not even taking Liberia serious one way or the other.
Alexander Conan is a representative aspirant in District Number 5, Montserrat County, expressing disappointment in the Liberian Senate headed by Fanning Boto Sherman recently when they confirmed the Chief Justice designate of the Supreme Court of Liberia. According to the representative aspirant, Senator Fanning Boto Sherman is an international session person, as such he is unfit to be allowed to control the process that leading to the confirmation of Chief Justice position within Liberia. The Bone Mines Hospital Medical Director, Dr. Sinan Soba, says health workers' responsibility have increased from just saving lives to protecting themselves from the creeping insect due to power changes or challenges at the facility. Speaking during a roundtable discussion with Vice President Joe Howard Taylor recently in Bone County, Dr. Soba explained that the hospital is faced with huge challenges.
The Bone Mines Hospital was a CCP, and the government operating the hospital for the 4 years after the China Union turned the hospital back over to the government. We have a population of 20,958 people, and we serve the people of Sama. We also serve the neighboring counties, and we serve Bapoli across the St. Paul River. We also serve Montserrat Tuesday. So the hospital offers comprehensive health care, and in the time that I have been there, I have not found the Bone Mines for 6 months and in that 6 months, through the help of our higher, we see the show on the hospital has been able to get an ambulance that we can use to refer patients now to tertiary hospital. We also got donations. We have no partners. We partner with College Neurosurgical Center, and we also partner with PCA. They can help us with jobs, donated jobs, and the hospital also through the direction of the CH after the drug repair, and we are struggling, but we are getting there. And we also brought up the annual replacement with rubber pipes because of the dust that was not helpful for our patients. Now the Bone Mines Hospital is like a forgotten part of Bone County. The hospital has a lot of needs, and we want to offer thank you for what the government has helped us with. To bring our request towards the government. The Bone Mines Hospital needs stable electricity. We are very fast NEC. We are located where we have a lot of farms. There was a top city there with a lot of kids. In a week, we pay like 10 PCH in the hospital. So we are ready for electricity. We never to have anything to use it. were told four transformers, which is a lot of, during my first solar to be provided to the home, help us to level with the government, so that the home, yes, so we need like approximately 80,000 to setting the continuity has the documentation. Our honorable chief has asked for utility vehicle for us. We are asking for maternal road, the roof, and because it's not easy to have it, so we have a lot of we are the naive chairperson has spoken on staff. Yes, we have the few volunteers that the hospital has to have staff that are not receiving adequate salary. For example, now ORC is a PSC.
She's Dr. Soman. They're speaking with team of reporters when Vice President Joao to the roundtable discussion in Bangabong County. According to Hall, the responsibility of health practitioners have increased from just saving lives to protecting themselves from creeping insects due to power challenges at the facility. Well, with the town check, it is half hour past in the news. We'll go for this break to be wrapped up. But before we leave or go for this break, let me remind you of the top development we're following. The House of Representatives summoned National Elections Commission to provide clarity on the scheduled bimetric voter registration process. 20-year-old student of the William V. S. Tubman University in Maryland County, identified as Sudi Hinen, discovered dead at her home in Harper City. Police and LDA officers in Bong County arrest 2 Nigerian nationals with huge quantity of narcotic substances in Bangat. In a way, from Liberia, Burkina Faso junta leader is set for his first foreign trip to Ivory Coast. We're taking a break to be back. Many thanks for joining us on the program Freedom Email News Basket. The Central Bank of Liberia recently launched a currency awareness campaign in Bangabong County. This comes following the approval of the National Legislature and the executive in May 2021 authorizing CBL to print and mint $48.734 billion Liberian dollars in new families of the currency. Speaking Thursday at the launching ceremony in Banga, Central Bank Governor Aloysius Talu said the launch is intended to create more awareness on the infusion of the new Liberian currency within the economy.
On behalf of the Board of Governance, Management and Staff of the CBL, I want to welcome you to this official launching program. We are beginning the education and the sensitization process to educate our people about the new money, and so that Bong County is a launching pad for me. The whole country will understand what we're doing here today. Because everything we do is for the whole country. Bong County is unique for us in Central Bank. In January this year, we opened the cash hub down the road. And Bong County, because you are centrally located, that's why you're benefiting from this. And thank you for the good for Bong County. Thank you so much. By coming to Bong County and by opening the hub, what we are trying to do at Central Bank is a decentralized bank. Everything goes to Monrovia, all right? But Monrovia is not Liberia. The counties are Liberia. So we come into Bong County so that if you need to cash your money, you don't have to go all over Monrovia. You can do it right here in Bong County. We're going to the next cash hub in Rajee County that will service Sano, Maryland, Grand. So we're going to be a full cash hub. So Bong County is the first one. We're going to be the next one, and then we're going to go on. We want to carry banking to the people. So people can become the Monrovia for banking, all right? That's the idea. So you know when you read, the road can cut off, especially the areas that have barriers, so don't come to Monrovia. So we have bank operation there. You don't have to come to Monrovia to do the bigger business. That's the idea behind that. Also, we want to first of all give our thanks to His Excellency, Dr. George Manawiya, Senior President of Liberia. Because everything we're doing here is because of the president. So we get the club for the president, okay? The president had the foresight enough to put the board together. After he formed the board, he decided to put the management together. And we are doing this work because of the board oversight. Anytime we have an issue, we go to the board. We do the day-to-day operation, but the board also makes sure that we do the right thing to have an oversight responsibility. So thanks to the board for the hard work. Y'all can get board. We also want to thank the national legislature because at the end of the day, legislature.
At the same time, the CBL executive governor has indicated that the strategy to infuse the new currency into the public will be implemented through the commercial banks for accountability purposes. Governor Talu added that the CBO is already working with commercial banks in resolving the shortage of Liberian banknotes on the market.
We're going to get banknotes will be in 20s, will be in 50s. You already saw the 100s. We see the 500s. We've got 1,000. The 20s will be the same format as you see the weight around the head of the person. The 50 is similar. But the 500 will be 7 women. The women will make the flags of Liberia. Everything will be also men. All right? So I said, no, this time we put women there. All right? So women now get 500. All right? Okay? We say the 1,000. So how to represent the country? So we get the mass of the different track, the 16 track. All right? So on the 1,000, the state of the travel mass of the 16 track only. So that show inclusion. All right? We are all part of it. Those are the 1,000. So we're talking about the $5. So most people get $5 and $10. So we use it a lot. And so that woman destroy quickly. And the value for the money, we spend more money for the $5 and $10, we don't get no value for it. So this is how we get coins. The coins are not to, who are living in the dough trying to get the dough coin, the 7 coin, the heavy coin. Everybody remember dough coins? Remember dough coin heavy, all right? Remember? Okay. They coin this now to get it like a bird like.
Aloysius Talu is the executive governor at the Central Bank of Liberia speaking. On Thursday, when the bank launched the currency awareness campaign in Bangabong County. The Liberian National Police Women and Children Department has released a report into investigation into the SOS rape sacket, exonerating former SOS Director Augustine Aliyu after he was accused of raping a man at the SOS Children Village. Speaking at the Ministry of Information regular press briefing in Monrovia Thursday, the NNP head of Women and Children Protection Session, Susan Beritet, said on April 12, said May Cole, a former SOS Children Village child, reported to the Women and Children Protection Session the raping of minors at the SOS on 3 separate occasions.
That the complaint of the camp rape perpetrated against Peter Adi was initially filed against William Jaliba on November 12, 2021 by Augustine Abiyu and then SOS National Director on behalf of SOS Madiu. That suspect Augustine Abiyu was the National Director of SOS Village at the time, March 15, 2022, Dayton was reunified with him. That the application and admission records from SOS Children Village Liberia indicates Tarek was born September 18, 2005. Contrary to the birth date, October 10, 2005, provided by Dayton Adi at Fort Women One Stop Center, and to investigators, she provided October 10, 2005. That the Dayton birth dates, that Dayton Adi initially asserted that she was sexually abused by Augustine Abiyu at the Alalagun Hotel on October 10, 2021, and later refuted for assertion that Augustine Abiyu sexually abused her in Alalagun, but rather suspect Augustine Abiyu sexually abused her at his Congo Town residence on October 10, 2021. That Dayton Adi's statement as to the place of the Augustine Abiyu sexually abused her, that Dayton Adi consistently maintained that the Augustine Abiyu sexually abused her on October 3, 2021 at night hour. That the Dayton description of Augustine.
And with this final development, the West African Examination Council has released the full results of the Just Ended WACS exam, with Liberia finishing second in terms of performance in mathematics among countries that sat the exam. Speaking at the Ministry of Information regular press briefing recently, the head of WAEC Liberia, Diaboto, said 43,413 candidates sat the mathematics examinations, with 9,919 candidates making a pass with credits in math. According to WAEC Liberia head, English was the best performing subject in the Just Ended WAEC, with 35,369 making a pass, constituting 81.52%.
Mathematics, 43,413 sat, 9,918 passed with good scores. And I want to say since I'm talking about mathematics, if you look at the 9 subjects and compare the performance of the candidates in the region, 4 of the 5 African countries took this exam. As you speak, Ghana is showing it in our exam. So of the 4 countries that took this exam, Latvia became second in mathematics among the 4 countries. So you can see that 9,918 candidates passed to study and a total of 33,615. Then for the West African Senior School Certificate exam, the BTS one, 809 schools received candidates for this exam. For the 2,940 candidates, we are reporting that for the 1,884. Now, what qualifies one for certification on this exam? I think it is important that you get to know this. In order to be certificated on this exam, you need to sit a minimum of 7 subjects and a maximum of 9. Also, get certificate, you need to pass in at least 1. So you pass 1, already 7 or 9 that you start, you are successful. So for this exam, for the 2,940 candidates sat the exam, for the 1,884 met the minimum threshold. So you had 97.4%. So let's go in detail a bit on how the candidates perform their subject. In Latvia, currently we are doing 9 subjects. The first subject you see for the 3,277 candidates.
Tia Boto is the head of WIAC Liberia there speaking at the Ministry of Information regular press briefing on Thursday when he released the full results of the just ended WAS exam, with Liberia finishing second in terms of performance in mathematics among countries that sat the exam. Well, at this point, we rejoin Edison Yenikin, this time with the regional news.
The head of Burkina Faso's ruling military junta will travel to Ivory Coast on Monday for his first official trip abroad since coming to power in January, according to the Burkinabe presidency. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandago Damiba is due to hold talks with his Ivorian counterpart Alassane Ouattara on Monday and will return to Ouagadougou the same day, a source at the Burkinabe presidency told AFP News Agency. Since he took over to run affairs of the country during a push on January 24th, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba had not yet traveled abroad. Burkina and Ivory and Cote d'Ivoire share a border of nearly 600 kilometers, and thousands of Burkinabe refugees have fled jihadist attacks on the country in recent years to seek refuge in northern Cote d'Ivoire, which has been less affected by the violence for the moment. Burkina Faso, where the junta has promised to make the fight against jihadists its priority, is facing, like several neighboring countries, the violence of armed jihadist movements affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group, which have caused thousands of deaths and some 2 million people displaced since 2015. And U.S. President Joe Biden will meet with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa this month, the White House announced Thursday, as the administration looks to draw African nations closer to the U.S. at a time when South Africa and many of its neighbors have stuck out neutral ground on Russia's invasion on Ukraine. Announcement of the September 16 visit comes on the heels of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to South Africa last month, in which he said the Biden administration sees Africa's 54 nations as equal partners in tackling global problems. But the administration has been disappointed that South Africa and much of the continent have declined to follow the U.S. in condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. South Africa abstained in a United Nations vote to condemn Russia's action, and Ramaphosa has avoided any criticism of Russia and instead has called for immediate peace. Biden and Ramaphosa, who spoke by phone in April, are expected to focus their talks on trade and investment, infrastructure, climate and energy, public health, and South Africa's leading role on the continent, officials say. The two presidents will reaffirm the importance of their enduring partnership and discuss their work together to address regional and global challenges. White House Press Secretary Karine Pierre-Jean said in a statement announcing this month's meeting.
Many thanks to Edison Hinikin for reading us the foreign development. Is a regular feature there on Freedom Even News Basket. Well, and that is taking us home for this weekend presentation of the program Freedom Even News Basket, which indeed has been 45 minutes of all of the captivating news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one world. Just we will leave you with a reminder of the top development we've been following. The House of Representatives summons National Elections Commission to provide clarity on the scheduled biometric voter registration process. 20 years old student of the Woodland Field Stockman University in Maryland County, identified as Sudi Hinen, discovered dead at her home in Harper City. Police and LDA officers in Bon County arrest 2 Nigerian nationals with huge quantity of narcotic substances in Banga. And away from Liberia, the Burkina Faso junta leader is set for his first foreign trip to Africa. Love to say many thanks to our writer, correspondent, and editors who have been making this week presentation of the news a success. Edison Yenekin brought us the news bulletin and the foreign development. Marlon Griffith sat at control and coordinated the sound system. Dual Crusoe sat behind the camera for this week and coordinated the camera aspect. I'm Thomas Kojo Rolak. I presented a pleasant weekend from Monrovia.